Hi there. It is so odd, this hobby, isn't it? I just can't explain it. I've given up trying. I have worked hard today. I've been up and down this field for about 3 hours, finding shotgun cartridges, lots of iron, lovely bits of pottery I'll show you in a minute. Couple of very boring Roman coins, and so much possibility everywhere. But I've never had so much iron and found so much pottery without actually finding. I hope this microphone's working, by the way. It's been a really iffy recently. I've never been in an area where there's been so much signs of good stuff without finding anything, possibly. And I was getting bored, and I thought I'll do this track, and then I'll head to that corner where I know I've found some Roman coins before, because I'm bored of checking out new stuff and bits of land that I don't do so often. And then I'll go back to the car and try somewhere else. And I got a tiny signal. Well, look, first let me just show you what I found already, because nothing's going to beat what's down there. Oh, and just here as well, just on the same track, so two things are one after the other. A nice little Roman pin, I think. Don't know what else it would be. That's lovely. And then this little Roman coin's quite nice. I won't show you the other rubbishy Roman coin, but I will show you some of this pottery, because I found some Samian ware and lots of the darker stuff. I mean, that's really lovely, that piece of Samian ware. And then some of the much darker stuff, one of which, I've got lines on that one. One, when I picked it up, look, it's got squares on it. So some sort of pattern. So that's cool. Lots of little bits and pieces. And then this. Now, where is it? I mean, it's just so odd. Tiny coin. I thought, well, another little Roman grot. It's not a Roman grot. It's a little Celtic silver unit. It's got a bird on it. Now, I think that makes it Iceni, which wouldn't be out of the question because we're in the right sort of area for Iceni. And on the other side it's a boar of sorts, I think, or I'm not sure, but it's just fabulous and in beautiful condition. I think it's tiny and silver and lovely. And it's just, I mean, now I'm happy again after 3 hours of getting just bored and but just do it. And I thought I didn't even film the coin, didn't film the pottery, didn't film the pin. I thought just keep having just try and enjoy yourself and don't take it too seriously. And then this happens. I mean, oh my God, just amazing, just absolutely amazing. We'll have to go straight back to headquarters. I've left my proper camera all the way over there, about half a mile away. Just got this little one with me and a microphone that's not working very well, I don't think. But let's just hope you heard some of that. And let's go to headquarters and check out this coin, because wow. Hi there, welcome to headquarters. Well, after the gold video from last week, I've been honestly quite worried that the fact that nothing that I ever make or record or find from now on is going to come close to that. And therefore, I think possibly I've reached the sort of high point in my YouTube career. And now anything after that is just going to play a sort of proper second fiddle to everything. But I can't let that worry me. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have found it in the first place. There are plenty of people who won't find medieval gold rings. And I just got to keep hoping that these videos are entertaining and fun enough for you to, for people to watch them, even if we're not finding the really good stuff. But as luck would have it, finding this. Now, I really mean it. I think this is the best coin I've ever found. To me, it is the best coin I have ever found, and on lots of different levels. And it might not be the most valuable, it might not be the most important, even though it is absolutely extraordinary. And before you all start screaming at me, and I bet half of you were screaming at the time, it's not Celtic. It's not Celtic. I got back home, I opened that book there, Ancient British Coins, and I was looking up birds and Iceni and all the silver units they have in there, and nothing was coming close to a bird on one side and a face on the other. And then it suddenly dawned on me, especially looking at the size and the shape of it, it's not Celtic. It's Saxon. And a short search of silver coin, bird, and you get all sorts of things coming up. And it's a sceat. It's an early silver Saxon coin. Now, I think I'm right in saying sceat, and it might not be pronounced sceat, it might be pronounced sheet or shat or all sorts of things. I like calling it sceat. They are sort of from the 5th, 6th century onwards. Well, until they started making proper silver pennies. Well, not proper silver pennies, but hammered silver pennies. This one, I think, dates from the 8th century. And you don't have to go very far. This, your spink, you don't have to go very far, is brilliant on Saxon coins. And here we are, the early Saxon period. There's lots of different types of these coins. I mean, they are rather wonderful. There's lots of different series. Series A, Series C, Series W, Series Z, Series R, all sorts of ones. And they're all under the early Anglo-Saxon period, 600 AD to 775. And if you go to Series Q, they are animal types. And there are several with pictures of birds on them. Now, when I looked up Series Q online, the ones that come up the most is a sort of animal on one side and a bird on the other. But then there is a variety here, which is in your spink 808A, and there is that coin, and they call it diademed bust, which is that side. Cross before right walking bird, pellets in field, and that's that side. And I don't think I've ever found a coin of this age in this condition. I mean, it is absolutely wonderful. You've got the bird on one side and the head on the other. And so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out from my surroundings that I have always had a fascination and a massive interest in ornithology and birds. And therefore this little coin with what I think must be, I'm thinking it's a heron, or possibly a stork, which were fairly common in England, in Britain in those days, or some other sort of large wading bird. I mean, to have that in such bonkers illustration with its sort of crosses behind and pellets and big feet, it's just, it's just the most wonderful thing I've ever found. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful coin, and especially, oh, don't worry, didn't hurt it. Especially after the gold ring and having such a come down off that, knowing that nothing's going to come close to it. To find that so quickly was just mind blowing. Especially as you'll see now, I spent a bit more time in that field. That's the only thing of interest I found in that massive field on that day, the only thing. And you've got to be on your mettle when you want to find tiny bits of metal like that, because you know you've got to be really on it. I mean, they're hard to hear with if they're at any depth. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to all that. A beautiful little Saxon coin. And let's go back to the fields, which are now a different field, because as I said, we didn't find anything else there. And I'm not going to bore you with digging up cartridges, but let's go back to another one, and where we find some really, really cool things as well. So I'll see you twice again. Hi there. I'm doing a bit of pasture, which I haven't done in a while. I need a bit of a change because I've been doing the same old pasture for a bit now. And especially if you saw my last video, I mean, oh my God, some of the things we're finding on it. But one needs a change every now and again. So I'm doing that now. And I've come back somewhere where I've been a lot. God, it's been cold recently. Most of you, if you're living in the UK and you metal detect, haven't managed to be out in about a week. The ground's been absolutely frozen solid. It's been like Alaska. But it's just, but a warm front's coming in again, and even though it's quite cold, it's just lovely to be out. Because as I said, we really haven't been able to recently. Anyhow, there's still things to be found here, especially, I hope you can hear me, it's quite windy. No surprise there. Especially now I'm getting really good at this machine, and it takes a long time to understand exactly what it's saying. I am convinced though that you've got to keep it completely open in many ways, because you've got to listen for sounds which any sort of discrimination are going to block out, and those are really low buzzy sounds. Now you can't dig those everywhere, but once you know what land you're on, you can. Now, I found a couple of old buckle plates and musket balls, things like that, big bits that I've missed before. So, you know, this just gives you a lot of hope that there's still really, you know, stuff to be found here. And this down here, I've just found the most wonderful coin. So I'll show you in a minute. But just before, so there was a little button, and there was the coin. Okay, so what, a meter. Now, they sound so similar. Listen. Not like that. That's the button, rather dull sounding. And the coin is, it's a bit higher, isn't it? But listen to what happens when I try and put this here. When I come off it a bit, listen. That's what you've got to, that's what you're listening out for at depth. And I'm a long way off that. And if I come right off this coin, look how far off the ground I am. You're just getting a little buzz. They sounded so similar. After the first one, which is the button, I thought, can I be bothered to dig something so close to It's just the most beautiful coin. It's a short cross, and if I take some of the dirt off it, yeah, you can see Henricus, no surprise there, Henry II, his two sons, John and Richard, rather Richard and John, and Henry III, his third son, all come under Henricus in short cross coinage. Now, this is it's a bit worn, but it's completely unclipped. It's in almost perfect condition. There's a little dent off it there, but that is a completely unclipped short cross coin, and that has just made my day. I don't need to be out here any longer. I may not be out here much longer, but that is just completely wonderful. And there's that rubbishy little button. Anyway, to find that in such well done land, it's just brilliant. Well, I'm really cross I didn't dig this live. I was just thinking to myself that it's just quite cold to be setting up the whole time, and this was just such a tiny whisper. But then when I got down to it, it's about, well, easily a pinpointer deep, and it was still just a spiky whisper. I'm going to put it back in the ground so to give you hopefully an idea of what it sounded like. And I just thought, do you know what, let's just film it from here, because even though you've got that much out, you've got that much out, it's not iron. It's got to be good at that depth. My God, look at it. I thought it might be a button. It's not, because I turned it over, and look, you've got the hinge of a brooch. It's a Roman brooch. It's a disc brooch. I think they're called umbernet, and they would, I mean, I can't quite believe it. I know I'm lucky, and but you'll keep telling me, you lucky bugger. I am a lucky bugger. But you know what they say about luck and practice. I mean, I know this machine really well now. I know this partially really well now. I know what to look out for. And the reason I'm finding these things now, I'm sure of it, is because I'm digging stuff I wouldn't have dug before. And therefore I am getting stuff which is just deeper, which I think is making all this pasture come alive again, possibly. Now, I can see traces of enamel there, which is what you get on these. And I'm not going to rub it too much. Says he, rubbing it too much. I know. If you get upset about that, then go and watch someone else. That's just fabulous. It's missing its pin, it's missing its catch, but don't care about that. That I hope will clean up, because you can't see an awful lot on it at the moment. Look, let's go to headquarters. I'm looking a bit fat because I've eaten too much over Christmas, and it's because I've got these little warmers. so I don't have to wear gloves, because I can stick my hand in here every now and again. Anyhow, let's go back to headquarters and have a closer look at it there. Okay, let's go. Welcome back. This little brooch. Now, I've not found many enamel brooches, and this one is absolutely stunning. It's a Roman disc brooch of sorts, plate brooch, and it is just to find something like that. Again, I really mean it. Going over some of the ground that I've been on an awful lot over the years, and just digging those tiny wispy signals is paying dividends. You dig up a lot of rubbish, you dig up a lot of iron, but then you dig up little things like this. Now, I mean, I'm completely blown away by it. One thing of interest with enamel brooches like this, I have discovered, is that they look fairly plain like that, and I have ruined enamel brooches by trying to pick away at them and see if I can bring out any more detail. It will just crumble and go. But watch this. That's how it looks at the moment. If I moisten it, I've got a little cup of distilled water here. I use it over and over again. Precious stuff. That's why it's so muddy and murky. But watch what happens once it gets wet. All those colours just become alive, and the yellow and the depth of the red, and the sort of light green in between. I mean, you get a really good impression of what it would have looked like. I mean, it's a stunning thing. Now, I don't know why enamel reacts like that, or why it dries out to such a degree. If anyone knows of any way of, and I'm not going to use nail varnish or all sorts of other things like that, or not nail varnish, but something gloopy sort of stuff. But if anyone does know of anything that might sort of seal that colour without looking too glossy, then I'd be really, really interested. And I don't think Renaissance wax is going to work. I find Renaissance wax really tricky. If you're using it on anything that has any sort of edge or isn't perfectly smooth, you get a residue. You get a sort of white residue, which is really hard to shift. It doesn't do it any favours, I don't think, Renaissance wax on objects like that. But that's just come out beautifully. That's by far the best Roman brooch of like that I've ever found. Now, I didn't have an awful lot of luck online with this, even though I'm going to go and have a look at the Portable Antiquities scheme. It's becoming very tricky, the Portable Antiquities scheme, searching for guides at the moment. I don't know why particularly. How to in general guides. Here we go. It is, while that's coming up, it is in here. This is the brilliant visual catalogue of hats, brooches. He's got 4 books. I've only got 1 of these books, but he did 4, and he must have had the most phenomenal collection. And even though I can find the exact brooch in here, 129 plate brooches, 2nd century AD, it appears in one of the books that I don't have. So that's no good for that, even though it is nice to know that they're there. And if I go into brooches quickly on the Portable Antiquities scheme, no, I don't think there's anything devoted to these enamel brooches, but if I go and just put in enamel brooch, Roman enamel brooch, yeah, you get all sorts of ones coming up, but very few, I love to say this, in the condition that my one is in, even though obviously it is quite dry when it dries out. Now these are the I think what they call umbenet brooches, which are the triangular sections of enamel, whereas ours is a little bit more obvious. His one, which is quite similar as well. Well, not similar, it's got circular things, but you get the idea. Where is it? Just the most fabulous object, and just really just sort of makes it going out really worthwhile. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to that, and let's go back to the fields and see you one more time. Well, that is just fabulous. I'm completely over the moon. And look at all those wonderful cows and sheep. I love it when they're here because they're so relaxed and unfriendly. It's nice, them being around. You really are going to get much the same view at the moment. It's a really awkward wind. I hope you can hear me. Sometimes I'm going to just take the mic off quickly, and then you can hear. how windy it is, because sometimes with this mic, especially if I completely turn away from it like that, don't hear a thing, do you? It's amazing. Anyhow, I'm having to plug in and out a lot because I think the wires on this are getting a bit worn, and it means that that I can't be 100% that it's coming into my ear when I'm actually detecting properly. But it doesn't take me very long to switch round. Now, I've got to live this because there was a hole over there when I thought I would not live this. It sounds quite good. And I thought, you know what, it's going to be another good one again. With that, but I don't think I'm going to get away with this. Oh, for Pete's sake. It is being a bit erratic, I'm afraid. And that's why I can't have it on all the time. But right, let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Hope I haven't lost it now. Okay, it's very irony, as you can hear. But all the way around, especially there, there's a really nice sound amongst it. Now, it's probably going to be iron, it's probably going to be, or it could be a bottle top, or a very ferrous cartridge. But I can't risk not live digging it. Because this is what I said with that brooch. Well, a little bit of the iron might be in there. Because we're definitely getting a stronger signal now, even though I don't think it's going to be any good, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's sounding really irony now. It's sounding like the edge of a nasty piece of iron. Whatever it is, it's a really nice, unusual one. And they're quite fun to dig. Just so that you know what they are in the future, if for nothing else. Whether to definitely dig them or avoid it. But I think it's iron. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Oh, it sounded much nicer before we started. Well, it's a bit loud. Hang on. Not iron, is it? Don't know what it is. It's going to be a big bit of lead, isn't it? No, well look, it's old, and that was deep. I mean, look, easily a pinpointer and more, pinpointer and a half. Not surprisingly, it's a socking great piece of bronze. It's probably part of a pot leg or something like that. Really wonderful, big piece of sharp bronze. I mean, I just don't know. Got a groove there and a groove there. Perhaps it's not a pot leg, perhaps it's something else. I love old bronze. Now, I get really excited about the bronze blobs, because that looks like casting waste of nicer bronze things. This isn't a bronze blob. It's definitely a pointy bit of something or other. This has been made for something. And I suspect it's a pot leg, but someone might tell me differently. But brilliant, what a lovely day. I'm taking it very unseriously. I'm having a good time just finding really iffy targets like that, which aren't iron and turn out to be something good and could have been something even better. Well, hooray, this was another really iffy signal amongst iron. And I think it's a Roman coin. I would not have dug this a few years ago. I know I wouldn't. Okay, look, it's not very special. It may not even be Roman. I think it is. I think I can see a little head there, can't you? Yeah. I mean, that is, and a couple of people there. Is it Celtic perhaps? No, I think it's Roman. It might clean up a little bit. I'm sure it will. But that's just wonderful because, as I said, it wasn't stupidly deep. 6 inches. It literally was on the top there. So yeah, brilliant. There's stuff here still, masses of it. This little bit more obvious, dare I say it. It's much cleaner. I mean, there is a little bit of iron there, or a little bit of ground, but I don't think it is either. It's not the crispest sound in the world. Maybe that's why I haven't found it before. It's got a really good chance of being good, this, dare I say it as well. Should be in there now. No, it's quite deep. Right. It was quite deep as well. It's a crappy old bottle top of sorts, but it's quite hard aluminium. I really thought we were onto something there. Ooh. It's lovely when the clod falls back in really nicely, really flush like that, in the perfect way it's been cut out. My God, I thought I found another gold ring. I didn't think it could be. I wasn't getting too excited because it sounded really, really soft and flat. And even though gold is quite a low tone often, this one was very, very low. I mean, this is very sort of sounded like a very boring bit of cartridge, but well, it is a ring. And is it hallmark there? No, it's not. I don't think it's gold. I really don't think it is gold. It doesn't feel like gold. It's really really light. But can you imagine? I think I'd have been banned. I think I'd have been banned off YouTube if I'd found another gold ring that quickly. Well, I'm not going to plug you in for this because you probably know what these sound like. Sometimes there's the sound, and I always say it's either a big Roman Sestertius, a cartwheel penny, or a CROTAL bell. But this was just, and I've been digging a lot of cartridges and a lot of rubbish, and I've come to the end today. It's been brilliant and lovely to be out, but it has actually been really hard work. But it just gave me just a zzz, zzz, just a really unusual signal. I thought, what on earth could that be? It wasn't iron, but I really struggled to think what else it could possibly be. And I went down and down and down, and well, it's not stupidly deep, it's a pinpointer. And it's the third of these things. It's a CROTAL bell. I haven't found one in ages, and it's going to be beautiful because it's going to be a proper ringer. It's absolutely in perfect condition. Now, a lot of us love these things, and a lot of us are really lucky to find lots of them. You can age them mainly by the hole. This is a slightly later one because I don't think the hole's drilled. Basically, funnily, they're funny CROTAL bells. The cruder they are and the older they look, in fact, that's the newer ones. And the crisper, cleaner ones, often with the most design, are the actual are the earlier ones rather. Now this is lovely. I think it might even have a maker's name on it. Got all sorts of detail. And it's got, yeah, it's a beautiful one. It's just got loads of design and all the rest of it. I'm completely thrilled with that because it has been hard work. And we are going to end on this, whatever happens, and come back again tomorrow, because I've just slightly lost, you know, it's been really good fun, but I've just slightly, it's going a little bit like that until I found this, because I've been out here a long time now. And I'm going to put this on eBay because I'm one of the people who do find quite a lot of these. Whereas there's a big north-south divide. Gosh, the detail is beautiful on that. And there's a big north-south divide. And those in the north of the country, I mean, they're really, really hard to come by. Let's get back to headquarters. I have cleaned this up because it's an absolute beauty and it's unlike any that I have found before. Okay, let's go. Well, let's have a look at this wonderful CROTAL bell. It's just got the most beautiful design on it, and a design, I mean, I'm lucky enough, I'm in a part of the country where I find lots of CROTAL bells, or not lots, but I haven't found a proper one in ages, especially one that rings like that. But to find one with this sort of design on it, it's absolutely beautiful. It's got sort of zigzag, sort of fern type, they look like sort of upside down fir trees coming down off it, not just on the bottom bit there, but on the top here as well. And it's just been so beautifully decorated. And here's another one I found in the same field with the sort of fish scales on it, which again is absolutely fabulous. Now, there's one proper way of dating these things. It's a brilliant website, which I'll put you onto. I won't bang on too long about these CROTAL bells because I have done them before, even though not for a very long time. They are mainly, you get sort of very fine ones in the 14th century, and then in the sort of 15th and 16th century, you get these ones which have drilled holes. And as a general rule, I believe that the more modern and crisp they look, the earlier they actually are. If you're finding really wonky, crude ones, they actually turn out to be the later sort of 17th, 18th century ones. But a good general rule is the drilled hole. Now this one I found before with the scales, that has a very obvious drilled hole. And this one looks to me, well, even though it does look quite drilled, it also falls into the second category of the lug. So maybe it's something in between. Maybe it's a vague lug with a drilled hole. I'm not exactly sure. I like to think it's the first one, because the way the lugs were made was that what they did in the casting is they had the thing which they pulled up slightly, and that formed the loop. Whereas this, I think, was cast in one section, the top bit, and then a hole was drilled in after. But this to me does look drilled. I'm sure of it. So maybe it is the former. It does look like it might be. I'd like to think so. It's also got one more thing on it. It's got the sort of anvil, the hammer logo, rather than rather obvious initials. Telling us who the maker is, but to have one with that design, with all the zigzags and all the ferns, all the fir trees or whatever they call them, is really cool and very unusual, and one that I haven't found before. I've not found this design. And just while I've got you all, thank you so much everyone who's been brilliant on eBay. As always, I'd like to thank you for being so generous with buying the sort of Roman and hammered coins that I put up. It's really helping sort of move things along. And also, as I always say, I'll always throw in an extra Roman coin if I feel someone's been too generous. And even though I've not found this design, I have found several CROTAL bells that are full ringers. And so I'm going to put this one up today, and I hope it goes well, because it really is rather a special one. Anyway, we'll do that, and probably with a few other bits and pieces of the things that we found. So thank you very much for listening to all that, and see you next time.